Okay, good evening, Chucktown Wind Report. Today is Wednesday, June the 10th, 2015, and this is the first video that I've done for the group in hopes of being able to give a better visual presentation on a lot of the meteorological summaries that I give based on the WSI surface map we have in front of us. There's no preference for surface maps. I just like this one because it has more activity, frontal boundaries, high pressures and low pressure placements, and trough activities, tropical waves, anything else that could be featured on a surface map that's easily visible is why I like to use this one. So with that said, I'm just going to sort of dive right in and talk about what has been going on the last couple of days and what it means for the next couple of days for our sea breezes as we get into the summer months. So one thing that I've been talking about in the group is the fact that there is high pressure out here in the Atlantic. It has not strengthened as much as I had hoped. I was hoping it would get up to be about 1018 to 1020 millibars, but it just has been sort of sitting out there as a dry pocket of air, not much building. And as you can see here, it is at 1016 millibars. It's been holding there since yesterday. It hasn't weakened, which is a good thing. So I'm hoping that I think tomorrow we do show a favorable build of this high pressure over Bermuda. So if we can get it to 1020 millibars, that would be good for a build. Ideally 1024 millibars or higher. We give it a much more robust feature. However, what we are looking for is in the clockwise rotation around these high pressures is for enough strength to push this moisture back and actually dry the air out where a lot of this activity just won't be able to develop. So what we're looking for is a good, robust, high-pressure build offshore for tomorrow for the sea breezes. It just hasn't been enough the last couple of days to get them going. Now, the other component to this is the fact that there's been a frontal boundary sort of draped down into the southeast for the last day or two until today, where it's actually starting to fizzle out. So what we're talking about is this frontal boundary right here. Now, that segment has broken off into the southeast where it is slowly fizzling away. There are quite a few thunderstorms and blotches of rain left over along what we would call residual troughing of this boundary, but we expect that most of that to kind of die off overnight as the tail end of the front breaks off and actually kind of heads to the south. What's interesting about this area right here is that it's, number one, it's over the Gulf. The water temperatures are very high, so it's always an area that we have to watch whenever we see tail ends of cold fronts break off down into the Gulf of Mexico. So something to definitely keep an eye on. Those homegrown backdoor storms always have a way of kind of sneaking up on you, but right now it's more of a large feature over Tampa Bay, and I'm going to show you something that's really interesting that just happened a little while ago, and it has a lot to do with what we call an outflow boundary or a gust front. So as you can see, this area right here of storming, this east-west area of storming on the visible loop, and this was at 12:45 this afternoon, so it's about 5 hours behind UTC. It's Eastern Standard Time. It's 5 hours behind UTC, which you see down here. This boundary right here really raced off to the south and collided with this trough boundary here. And normally when that happens, you get an explosion of activity. So as you can see in the loop, you see all of this area just explode in activity all the way across Florida. So that's a really unique thing to happen. We do see some additional storming, some upper level shear blowing the cloud tops from south to north. Over here, over in Alabama, Mississippi, over into Georgia, and also into South Carolina, we see a lot of upper level shear. Southwest to northeast moving thunderstorms, so we should expect most likely to get some of this batch of thunderstorming activity through tonight before things settle down for tomorrow. So going back to our surface map, when we talk about this area of troughing right here, this coastal troughing, when it is overrun the coast, we tend to get what we call cloud contamination on the sea breeze, and really what we need is for this high pressure to build dry air into the coast. And when that happens, it holds the thunderstorming and the trough activity inland. And that's a good thing because that creates a convergence zone. So that's what we're hoping is going to happen for tomorrow. Today and yesterday we got overrun by this area of troughing and along this frontal boundary, and as you can see, it's sort of breaking in half. The tail end's down here, the northern end's up here, and all this area in the middle is just sort of caught in between. Now what that means is that there should be abundant moisture mid-state and upstate for Piedmont and lee side troughing to occur, where low-level circulations fire off. What that does is it gives it an outflow out to the ocean and then back into land, and that completes the sea breeze circulation. So what we want is thunderstorming activity here and here in mid-state, maybe even approaching the coastline. We need dry air along the coast, and abundant thunderstorming inland would definitely help our sea breezes come up a few notches. So what we're expecting tomorrow is for this high pressure to build at about 10,020 millibars. I'm sorry, 1,020 millibars to help dry out what's left of this trough and hold the thunderstorms inland. Also, one thing that I really talk about with sea breezes is for the perfect storm, we like to see a high pressure build over the northeast Gulf, which gives us a westerly convergence or westerly flow aloft that pushes those thunderstorms that are developing inland towards the coast, and that creates that outflow that goes back out over the water behind the sea breeze front, gets pulled back into the sea breeze front, and accelerates the winds. So we're going to wait and see if that happens tomorrow. I'm going to really watch this trough activity down here in the Gulf of Mexico to see what happens there. If it sticks, we will just be we'll have a low to mid-teens sea breeze, but hopefully that gives you some idea of what's been going on. So we're hoping the next day or two we see dry air along the coast. We see this troughing holding back more inland, and hopefully we'll get a good moderate sea breeze build that reaches mid to upper teens. As a result, any additional storm activity inland would fire off a few extra knots winds along the beaches, and more likely so in the harbor and inland where the wind really funnels in through the coastline. So that'll be it for this video for Chucktown Wind Report on Wednesday, June the 10th, 2015. And hopefully this will be a good sign of things to come as we get into the summer season. Thank you.